What is different about your product?
You got a story to tell, something gonna connect to somebody else.
How to actually run a business versus having a vision for a business.
A lot of people come to me and they say they're scared to take that next leap.
Visual design is always going to be driven by the vision.
And I just was like, how do I do this?
What am I adding that they don't have?
Hey, brand builders, ready to take your brand to the next level? I'm Dana Ammons, and welcome to the Brand Blueprint.
Welcome to the Brand Blueprint Special, Hidden Gems. I'm Dana Ammons, your host and creator of the Brand Blueprint. Beyond our expert interviews, there are countless industry pioneers and lesser-known entrepreneurs who crafted success against all odds. Today, we're diving into their worlds to uncover these inspirational stories, bringing you the tactics, challenges, and triumphs of those who've quietly shaped their industries and our lives in the process. Join us as we explore the untold narratives of entrepreneurship.
My name is Kathleen Lanoix, Kathleen Selva Lanoix, born in the Turks and Caicos, the most beautiful island there is on earth. When I was 19 years old, I had no future in my country. So I decided to go to Haiti to join my mother's family. Of course, I have to thank my mother because she taught us how to do everything. Every craft there is. We didn't have no TV. We didn't have no computers. We didn't have no cell. So we had to learn how to survive, learning every trade there is. When I was 6 years old, she started me with crochet. I knitted for World War II. All the sweaters and the socks and the gloves. We were proud to be a part of helping the war. I went to church every day at midday, believe in God. And I told him, show me, let St. Peter give me that key to find the door, which door is going to open for me. And one morning I got up and one of my older sisters said, Kathy, you say you want to go away. I have a friend. She's ready to go with you. She's from Haiti. And my mother said, the only way you're going if you go to live with my family. And I said, okay. So I went to the Phillips family and I was treated like a little angel and a queen. And became, of course, I went to church, got into the choir. Oh, I got famous. Then I decided to open one of my businesses. My mother's cousin gave me a storefront where I started having my sewing and stuff because I knew how to do everything. I had 5 girls working for me, and it was a company called Married to Mass. They said, give me a lot of clothing, work to make shirts, children's clothing. Then I started doing massage for the hair and things like that. I decided to go over some things that my grandmother taught me, which I did. And that's what I used from that day up to now, because they had some secrets. And after that, my brother was sailing. He came to see me. He said, why don't you come to Port-au-Paix? I was in Cape Haitian. Spend some time with me. And I said, okay. So he took me to Port-au-Paix. And when I went to Port-au-Paix, that evening, they introduced me to this young man called Frank Lanoix. From there, we became friends. And I told my older cousin, that's going to be my husband. She said, he's too old for you. I said, I don't mind. I said, he's going to be my husband. She loved him. I said, no, baby, I'm going to get that man. And that's when the love story started. And we became lovers. But after I spent a month or 2 there, he asked somebody on the boat, I went back home, and he asked someone, how is Kathy? They said, she's married with 2 children. It wasn't me who was married, it was my cousin who was 27. So then he got married to a widow and had 2 kids. And after that, I didn't keep in touch, but I refused every man that came after me. I was waiting on him. I waited in Cape Haitian. Oh, I was baking. Those companies coming in for the bread, the cookies. I was good. Raisin bread, you call it. I made so much of business there. And my cousin, my mother's cousin, said, where did you learn all of these things? I said, my mother taught us. I mean, people were online for my business, bread, cookies, you name it. And from there, Frank he was a diplomat, and they were going to do voting. He was out from country to country, and he saw me that day. He said, oh, you're here. I said, yes, I am here, but stay away. And he said, why? I said, I was told that you're married. So there's no more communication until God wanted to be. And I stayed in Cape Haitian doing business. I was in the choir. Oh my God, I was singing French and reading French like someone who was born in Haiti. And yeah, so after that, I decided to go to Port-au-Prince. And my sister-in-law and my brother set me up there again. And there I had a cook. She was so good. We started cooking food to sell. And I made some mean food. It was line to get my food. I mixed the Haitian food with West Indian food. And so everybody was coming for it. When I make a beef stew, it was a beef stew. Oh my God. When I make oxtail, whatever I cook, it had like magic. Then I started making wedding gowns for the people, christening gowns. I went into sewing there. And oh my God. And I made a wedding gown. The people couldn't believe that I made it. Heirloom sewing, different completely. So I would even do catering, baking my cakes and all that stuff. So it was a complete deal. It was a good paying job because most of the people were poor people.
And were you doing most of this from your home, or did you have a store?
No, that everything from home, girl. My brother gave me a room just for me, and I had everything going. But he was so proud of me, his little sister, doing all these things they never saw anybody else doing. And I became so famous. So that was that. A few months later, Frank called me, which he never did. He said, I'm in Cuba. I said, what are you doing in Cuba? He said, my wife is very ill and there's no hope of her surviving. I said, well, just pray for her. And I cut off. And when I know again, his aunt, right, we call Tambide, she came to visit. She said, oh, you're the famous Kathy. Why did you come live with me? I need company. I say, I can't leave. I have all my businesses. He said, we have more than space. They have a 3-family house, beautiful balcony all around. My apartment could sit in their living room. So I moved in my garden room. It was like night and day. She was the godmother of my sister-in-law. So it's like family. I started because I made the children's clothing and I just had it hanging, sitting on the balcony. And people would just come. I mean, I was so famous with what I did. I felt good, fresh. There, whatever I made, I was able to live it because over there life was so cheap, After that, his aunt came and she said, well, Frank's wife died. Beautiful lady. She was like a Indian lady, beautiful. But she died pretty young. When I heard that, I said, oh my God, Frank is free. And about 2 months, he came to visit Port-au-Prince they were going through election. And I saw him, he was on the shoulders of 2 men. That's when they doing election over there. And he stopped and he said, I'm here. Pray for me because they're going through this election. And everybody, vive Lanoix, vive Lanoix, vive Lanoix. So it's a beautiful thing to see that, And he said, well, I just lost my wife, but the law here in New York and Haiti, you can't get married when you have children until 2 years later. Respect for the family. I say, fine with me. I'm young. I'm young. I'm living my life. And so the priest, knowing that we were like family, he went to Frank and said, I'm in love with Kathy. He said, I would like you to give me the privilege for her to be my wife. I say, Heloise, I never loved you. I said, why are you asking Frank this? Frank is not my father. I said, stop it. I am not going to be a wife. Heloise was so disappointed that I don't want to be his wife. No, I go to church. I'm in the choir. Respect me as the member of the church. I don't want to be a wife. And that's how that ended.
Mm-hmm.
So I continued doing my work. After a year, I told them I'm going to move to Port-au-Prince. I know I had to wait one more year. I went to Port-au-Prince. This was like no tomorrow. I had 36 vendors selling cookies, cakes. I used to make the peppermint candies that you pull. It used to be so good. And at 6 o'clock, those vendors will come and they pick up their trays that they put on their head and they go out. At 5 o'clock, they come back, trays empty. And I couldn't handle all the money. Frank used to come to help me count the money. Plus, I'm sewing. I have girls working for me. I'm doing hair business. I'm doing treatments.
Mm-hmm.
So Frank say, how could you do this? I say, well, that's what I was taught, to be a hustler. And that's what I called myself. The only thing I did not learn, because I was afraid of, up tonight, I wouldn't even look at it at TV, is snakes. My grandfather used to take a snake around his neck, come home, and go in the backyard to make the oil. But I was so afraid of snakes, I never learned that.
Mm-hmm.
But everything else, they taught me how to do castor oil, coconut oil, everything. So they left me sitting pretty, making embroidery on the baskets. I think that's where I get all this ambition from, because they had it and they passed it on, you know. And I was the only grandchild that wanted to do those things. And she had a lot of grandchildren. I just grab anything I could learn. You're cooking, I'm going there. The blind boys come to do the grinding of the corn, I'm there. Everything. I was very nosy.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, Friends now, I got a nice apartment and friends started listening. The only thing I say, listen, you're going to respect me by not leaving my house after 9 o'clock. I said, my neighbors must see you leaving this house at 9 o'clock. You have to respect yourself to be respected. He did it, no problem. He will come help me do things. I'm sewing, he'll take out the basting shreds. He's always handy. Then a riot started in Haiti. They were killing people. You couldn't have light in your house so that they will kill you. Frank had to hide, being into politics. So I say, they respect the British flag. I said, I'm going to put up my British flag and you could come hide here. Now, a lot of my customers for the hair business, they will come. They want to see if Frank is hiding in my house. There's a way the house was built that when they say, I want to use the bathroom, he will be walking to the next area. They can't find him. They wouldn't find him. So they found out that Frank wasn't in my house, but he was there. He stayed there until the riot was over. That was in the 50s because that was the election time. Yeah. So everything went smooth. I was doing my work, making my cakes. I had 4 people helping me, plus my real cook. So everybody was keeping everything clean. And I kept on working and working and working. And one day, Frank came and he said, I think it's time for us to get married. But when we were getting married now, before I said I do, I told the priest, I said, please wait. I said, look at Frank, I said, do you really want to do this? There will be no divorce. Be sure. And he just looked at me and he said, I do. And believe me, that I do, he meant it, because most beautiful life I've ever had with a man that loved me. He taught me how to stop being angry. He taught me how to be more kind, because I was a bitch, and how to treat the maids. I had 8 maids. And I mean, the man was too good. But when God gives you something good, the devil takes it away. That's why. And God gave me a man that was so good. And when Diwali became president, because Diwali was a criminal, everyone that didn't work with him, he's going to kill you. So the 11th of August, 1964, the maid came and said, Madame Lanoix, to my coat. They opened the door, they had to let him in. And he came and shook Frank, woke him up, and Frank went outside. I went outside, and they asked me, what nation are you? I said, I'm British. You're lucky. They went and swung each child over. Whose child is this? I said, this is our child. Went to the other one. I said, this is our child. Those days, they took the babies and cut their necks off. But thank God, because I said I was as British, they took Frank. But I had hopes the next day I would see Frank. There were 18 men downstairs. 2 was Frank's cousin, and Frank was in 19th one. They went in the front of the palace and shot them all. They were all diplomat and Democrat, so he killed 19 of them. All Bennett, when she became the mother-in-law of Baby Duck, she was Michelle's mother who married Baby Duck because she was in power. She was the mother-in-law of the president. And so she said, what do you want me to do? I said, the only thing I want is that certificate because I have to have proof that I'm a widow. So she was able to get that for me.
When you were married to Frank, were you still working and doing your businesses?
He didn't want me to, but I did it. I had people coming for my special food. I did the hair. I did sewing, everything. But he said I didn't have to. But I can't stay without doing something. I'm not the one going to sit like a princess and have maid service. No, my maid service is for certain things, but I have to do what I want to do. And because of that, when I was coming here, you couldn't say that. I couldn't say I was leaving, but one of those people that used to eat my food and I used to sew for them and things like that, she put my name up to the second so I could come out. Yes, she was working in the airline.
What you did, which was moving from your home really young and then starting multiple businesses, was that something that a lot of young women did in the islands or no?
No, some of them had no ambition. Or their parents didn't teach them nothing.
Yeah.
So the only thing they knew how to do ordinary things. Hardly any one of them had a trade.
Yeah. And as a woman, do you think it was harder for you as a girl?
No, I love what I did. Some people got money by working for me. I was able to have employees, and they were good. I had 5 sewing machines, except that little factory, and they work. The only thing I never taught was the hair business, because my mother taught me how to do the hair weaving with the hair of my father's horse tail, because we had no hair like we have could buy now, and she taught me how to do the weaving. I was still in Haiti, and things were getting so bad after they started killing people. When they killed Frank, I went to the British consul. He said, what do you want me to do? I said, I would like to go to meet my family that I have in New York. He said, who do you have there? I have nieces and that I grew up with. That's Lucinda's mother. And I have brothers and sisters that I never met. They left home before I was born. So they say, okay, so I called my niece, Dorothy, and I said, listen, I have to get out of Haiti. She said, anytime. She was a nurse. She had 4 buildings. She didn't owe no taxes. She's told me a message today. Her green card will be there in 3 weeks. In 3 weeks, my card was there. So now, my neighbors were so nice and loving, but they were all dividers. And it was a Friday, the 2nd of July. I was going through the airport, and one of my neighbors said, Lanoix, you're leaving without telling me. I don't know where it came from. I said, darling, just a weekend wedding. I'll be back Monday. Because she would have called the divider, and they could have stopped the plane. That's what he used to do. I left my kids with my sister-in-law because I couldn't come up with Lanoix. They changed my passport. They put Kathleen Salvo, my maiden name. They walked with me. And everything else was Kathleen Salvo Lanoix in an envelope that no one was allowed to open. So I said, I'll be back all on Monday. And I got on that plane. I said, my God, please let them live. Let us go. Let us go. And when I arrived here in New York, it was a Friday afternoon, around 6 o'clock. I ran to the first phone. We didn't have no cell those days. And I called my sister and I said, I'm safe. My niece took me to see my brother that I didn't know and his wife. Well, Kathy, what are you going to do? I was in my 40s. One of my friends said, oh, I have a lot of customers who want to do house cleaning. I said, I never clean my house. I said, I'm not coming here to do that. So my sister-in-law, I said, well, I have so many things I do, but these rooms are so small. She said, well, tell me what you would like to do. I said, sewing going to take a lot of space. Baking going to take, everything going to take space. I said, the only thing I could do and would be able to do here is the hair business. She said, well, you got it. The only thing I could have a license for everything here. She said, I'm going to get the best school here, and that's the one you will go to. So she called Wilfred. So my brother said, okay, it's paid for. He paid 1 year cash. Of course, I never finished. I signed up for another year because I went with Mark Trainer. He was the famous makeup artist. I don't use makeup, but I want to know everything. I paid myself. And I took 2 years. I taught the teachers a lot of things that they didn't know. So they say, why don't you become a teacher? I said, nope. I have 2 fatherless children. I'm not going home at 10 o'clock, and I don't trust babysitters. While I was in school, I didn't want to have them. After a year and a half, I graduated in May, and they came in August because I didn't trust babysitters. I wanted to know I would be able to work and earn money to take care of my children. So I waited, and I sent for my stepson, Frankie, Evelyn, and Richard. 3 first, because Marlon was finishing her class. After, they all came with the green cards. The American embassy, they worked with me. Then I said, I need my sister-in-law and my stepdaughter. They came a few months later. But then I tried to get one of my babysitters. They didn't allow me to get no one else. So I was satisfied because the 5 main people were here, all with their green cards. Then the school asked me if I could help teach something. I say, what do you want me to teach? They said, the hair weaving. I said, oh, yeah, I could do that. And I started teaching hair weaving. And oh, my God, they couldn't believe when they saw my work how fine it was. And they had this fellow from London who wanted to learn hair weaving. And I say, you're no different from nobody else. You're going to learn like everybody else. And in my time, and he didn't respect women, not at all. He said women should be making places at home. They shouldn't be working for money. I said, those days not for me, because I've been making my money. I was a little girl doing crochet and making embroidery things, raffling and making my own money. So that you know to come and tell me at my age that women should be making money. So he had a hatred for women. The same I let him know he was in my hand. I'm going to teach him when I won what I won. And I started that hair business. I was making wigs. Every wig was $1,200. I had 19 girls working for me because I couldn't supply. 19 girls working in here near one live on 105th Street. And when the people come, they take their wigs and give me my money cash. I graduated as a customer. I never sat and did one roller or nothing. That's for the cheap people. I do the hair weaving with money was into it. I got my license as a cosmetologist, but I did not work as a cosmetologist. I did not open a beauty parlor because the only thing I would have done, I would teach hair weaving. Because when you have all those chemicals, the spray that you put on the hair, that's all against your health. Why I stopped that? Because the Chinese people start ordering this cheap hair and everything went down. And I wasn't going to lower my price because I was paying 19 gold. So I just stopped it. And I continued doing other things. Well, I started sewing more and baking more. That's how I did make my living. And I raised 2 fatherless children without welfare, paid to send them to private schools. They started with Ascension. They went to Spelman. They graduated from Columbia University. So there I have a doctor and a nurse. No man in my life. All that came, I say, look, but you can't touch, baby. I raised my kids with God. I don't think nothing was difficult for me because I take it one day at a time. I did skincare, hair treatments. That was good. I had a lady came to me. She was almost like bald. And I did her treatments. And in 3 months, she had hair on her head. She couldn't believe it. And then I decided to make my soap. Having a license, I was able to do a lot of stuff. I started making oils for the skin. My soap was the main thing. Things for the hair treatment. Those are the things I started. And that's where I make my dollar. The most things I had making fun was my dolls, my black dolls. I make porcelain dolls. I paid $10,000 to learn how to make porcelain dolls because my grandmother taught me how to make rag dolls. The dolls I make, and you see, some people, like my teachers who taught me to do porcelain dolls, guess what? They didn't even know how to thread a needle. They made some beautiful dolls. But I had the advantage because as a makeup artist, I was able to do all the makeup by myself. As a seamstress, I'd be able to do all my sewing by myself. And I did everything from scratch with my doll. And that's where the beauty, looking at something that I made from scratch. And when I go out there to conventions, I had 9 Zobi dolls that I made. And this lady came from Michigan. She was a doctor. And she said, my God, these dolls are beautiful. I said, you like them? She said, how much are they? I said, $800 each. Those days I was underpriced. And she said, pack them all for me. She took all 9 because they were nicely dressed. I mean, when I do something, I look at it first and they want the money. A few minutes after, this tall, handsome man, he spoke to some kind of church person. He came and he looked at one of my black dolls. He said, how much are these? He said, $75. And they had a lady called Aunt Lynn. Everybody knew her as a famous doll person. And she said, oh no, this doll is $175. I must have had about 15 dolls. He said, pack them. I packed them all.
And you never had a storefront, right?
Never.
So how did you make all of your business? How did you meet all of your
Going
customers?
to conventions, to street fairs. And I was afraid to open a storefront because I always say, they're killing people out here. I have 2 fatherless children. I can't leave them with no parents. So I will not open a storefront because of that. Because I didn't want to leave my kids to be raised by somebody else.
Do you think that your cosmetics company, Création de Mon Rêve, would have been more successful if you had run it out of the store? Or did that come later?
It could have been better, but I had nobody to back me. You know, I had to do everything from my house. Because I had to be here when the kids coming from school and to school. I want to be here. So I had no one to back me to say I have a certain person to do this and do that. I do my own packaging. I do everything.
What's the best lesson that you learned in making all this business by yourself?
Well, I learned that nothing is impossible. You go for your dreams. The sky is not too high to reach. My mother always say, self-esteem, and if you need something, you go for it. You never give up. And don't care who tell you that isn't going to work. Don't listen to them. Positive thinking. And she implanted that in us. She said, you want to do it, you will. And you put God first. And that's what I did. And up to now, even my son and my daughter say, you're doing too many things at the same time. None of your business, baby. That's me. So don't tell me what to do. Now for the soap, you're going to laugh at this one. Learning annex, as they call it. And I went for a class, $175 for 2 hours. And this lady, she started speaking about all the things she did when she was in Africa, but she couldn't get no one to teach her the soap making because they were jealous because she was white. But she found one family that taught her how to make the soap. And she started talking. So I said, Miss, we only have 2 hours. What are you waiting on to start? And she said, oh, yes, yes. She called the janitor to bring the hot plate. And she said, by the way, when you want to make this so pretty, you go to a 99-cent store and you buy the erasers and you embed them into the soap to make it look pretty. I stood up. I said, no, you're sending us to go be sued or to go to jail. Because if a child is using that soap and they swallow whatever is in that soap and they get to that point, I said, who's responsible? The person who made it. And I reported her. And every time they did something wrong, I would go and tell the manager. I say, she isn't teaching right. Knowing what I knew, I was able to let them know they need a teacher to teach and not give no fake teaching. And that's what I did. That's why I'm known as a bitch. Yeah, because I don't close my mouth and let things pass that I know is wrong. What I make is everything is organic. People would like to make their money, but they don't spend. When I order my oil, sometimes you get below 4-ounce bottle of organic peppermint or organic whatever oil you're using. Sometimes you pay $40, $80 for it. But I'm going to buy the best. My stuff is out there. Nobody's going to tell me they're getting itch from it. How many people call me? Oh, this soap is so good. I don't have eczema anymore. So this is what I want to hear because I'm using the proper oil. And everybody that use my soap, sometimes instead of buying one cake, they buy a dozen. In case I don't have, they say they have it. My oatmeal soap, I have someone, if she finds 100 cakes of oatmeal soap in my house, she'll buy them all. The basic I make now is the oatmeal, the goat milk, and the moringa, because I don't have the health to make more. With this neuropathy, I can't do what I'm doing. So I need somebody who can be able to do my pouring for me. That's the hard part because it's hot and heavy.
Yeah.
So I need someone who could be with me and I could continue making my soap because I can't risk it with my health. I don't want to stop. I don't want to stop because people are still asking for my soap. People don't want to stop using my soap. That's it. You know what my husband told me? He said, you know, I could die. I don't have to worry about my children going to sleep hungry because you know how to survive. And you know, it is true. His first two children and my two, they never went to bed hungry. Never. And I was a foster mother for 7 years. All those kids are like mine. I treated them like my children. And they loved me as a mother because they were taught that they were nothing. When they came to my house as foster children, because my children wanted company, and when I was told that asked to be a foster parent, I said yes. And my kids were so happy. So when these kids came in, I said, okay, I want the kids to go to the best school like my children. So when they come in, I say, stand before the mirror. I say, look at you. Are you proud of yourself? If they don't answer, I say, you should be. I say, swing your arm. They will swing their arms. I say, now, put your hands in the back, and you can't move it. I said, that's when the police handcuff you. I say, what you like? To be free. And by being free, you are who you are. And when we sit at the table, I serve big dishes. Everybody help themselves. And I would say, eat as much as you want, put it on the plate. If you have to go back 5 times, it's okay. But don't put nothing to be thrown away. I had a good cook. I had fruits. And I told the office, I had 3 of them came in my house with tuberculosis. Luisa, Maria, and David. They were 4, 2 brothers, 2 sisters. Their tuberculosis was so bad. Lisa had her eyes, it had bluey stuff coming from it. I said, Miss Turbedy, these kids are undernourished. I want a blender. And when I ask you for something, don't tell me no. Because I am a mother and I see these kids were undernourished. I said, okay. And the secretary told me, don't be shy. We have the money. That's Catholic Home Bureau. And I started making them fresh juice, liver sauté. I was giving them special. Maria, it was hard for her to swallow the liver, but she would swallow it fast so she could get it down. And when I went to the hospital, once and I went down, the doctor said, what are you doing for these kids? I said, they're being fed. They're being fed. Mm-hmm. Everything was looking good. And when less than 6 months, there's no more tuberculosis. Mm-hmm. And one day, my supervisor came. It was a long table. and she liked my food. And she called me on the side. She said, "Why are you feeding these kids the same food that you feed your children?" I said, "Because they're some mother's child. They will eat what my children eat. Nothing. One of them sit on eating junk while my kids, no, we're going to eat the same food." And I told her, I said, that's an insult. I said, the kids came from that kind of life. I'm here to let them feel as if I'm not their real mother, but I'm their mother.
Mm-hmm.
Only thing, don't waste. And I was so proud. My kids, those kids I called my own, everyone left with a diploma.
High school, college?
College.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You kept them into college?
When they're 18, they let them go with nothing, not even a car fare or nothing. I said, why? How? The kids are homeless. They're leaving a home. They had 3 meals per day. You just say you're 18, it's time to leave. It wasn't fair.
So you kept them.
So then I had my apartment. I said, live with me. Not all, because some of them had family. They were old enough to defend themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But Lisa, I took Lisa, Maria, I took a few of them.
Mm-hmm.
Lisa was there until she had her first child. They stick beside me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And do you think that your creativity and your drive to create your own success was passed on to any of them in that way?
Oh, of course. Who was interested? Like Lisa, everything I taught her, she was doing it better than me.
Mm-hmm.
I taught her how to make dolls. I taught her to sew on a machine. She does all the embroidery on the machine. Something else I taught her, crochet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. A lot of things I taught that girl, that she's doing it better than me. Now, some of them didn't care about those things, but I taught them how to study.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. I said, you're not going to go to school not doing your homework.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's going to be in play. I was never called in school. So
That's
my
good.
kids know that. Why I quit, I had this social worker, Ray something. And he came that day and he told me, I don't see why these girls have to come in after school. They are allowed to stay until 10 o'clock at night. I said, let me tell you something. Evelyn Lanoix, who's my daughter, is not allowed to stay until 10 o'clock. Why should these girls come out? And one of the girls told me, you know why? Because he's inviting us to go to his house to be fresh. And one of them reportedly put it to Sister Fiona. So when I said, if this is happening, that you're supposed to be my supervisor for these kids and you want to go beyond my ruling after I finish putting these kids in, but he wanted them to come to his house so he could be fresh. So I told Sister Ona, I say, I'm giving you 1 month notice.
Mm-hmm.
She said, but you can't do this to us. I said, I have to do it. I say, you get rid of Ray, I stay. She said, but he was just assigned to your house. I said, well, goodbye. Yeah, she kept him on. But you think I'm going to accept the mess that he wanted to create in my family? No. And I quit. That's how I do it. If I can't get something going my way, I don't need you. That's it.
All these things take up a lot of space. So how are you doing that? How are you dealing with that when you had all those kids in the house that you were fostering?
Instead of having my bedroom as a bedroom, I had tables with shelves that my work would be able to go on the shelves. I make do.
Besides the snake oil, what's one thing that you never learned that you wish you knew how to do now?
I regret not knowing computer because I would have taken over. I had to depend on somebody to do something for me on the computer. The only thing I know about the computer is to open it, let Luke open it on Sundays to get my mass. That hurt because if I knew about computers, put my things online, like how you all do it, my biggest dream is to have enough money to go out there and feed the poor people. Right now, that's what I'm doing. I'm feeding the poor people at least 3-4 times a week with what I can afford. But what I would like to do, have enough money to have a soup kitchen well supervised so a hungry person could have a meal. People don't know that we could be in the same situation. So why not try to help? If I have money, it will be for my 4 grandchildren. But other than that, I want for the homeless. Because I don't need nothing else. I only need my help. My thing is to have the homeless people off the street living like human beings. Like when I give them the food, One day I was sitting downstairs and I had just given them lasagna. And the man turned back, he said, "Mommy, that lasagna was so good." I feel good. If I wasn't sick, I would have been out there bitching because I see a lot I could do.
Speaking of your sickness, you also cured a lot of your own sicknesses over the years.
With herbs, oh yeah, things that my grandmother taught me from scratch. And it's helping me a lot because I used to kick. My feet don't even know when it's moving. I had panic attack, which I don't have anymore. So I'm doing damn good. And let me tell you something. I give myself 2 more months, I'm going to be walking. Because I have to walk with our vice president when she becomes president. Because I love her. And I want to do, she have it within her to help. And I want to let her know that I'm proud of her. And I want to continue helping the poor people. Because there's too many people out there need help. It's hard. When you know, as a widow, having 2 babies, when my husband was killed, Richard was 2.5 years old. Evan was 1.5. So I picture myself being in that situation. If I didn't know the things that I know to survive, I would have been out on the street begging too. When I get well, I want to teach these young kids how to do some of the things that I do. Get off the damn cell, get off the internet. Learn things with your hand. And you could survive wherever you go. I feel as if I'm doing something that God asks us to do. That's what he asks us to do.
Would you consider yourself a caregiver, a believer, a savior, or a creator?
Well, all you say, I could say, I am a believer. I am a creator. I am a giver. The savior, I'm not a savior. But I'm the other 3. And I'll do that until I die.
Thank you. And what's the name of your brand, if people want to find you?
Grandma's Kitchen. Creación de mon rêve. That means creation of my dreams. So believe in my creation and you'll learn a lot from this old lady. I'm ready to teach.
Thank you for tuning in to the Brand Blueprint Special, Hidden Gems. I'm your host, Dana Ammon. Do you know of any unsung pioneers whose stories deserve to be shared? We want to hear about them. Visit us at thebrandblueprint.biz, click on Connect, and click on Show Guest to submit their story. That's thebrandblueprint.biz under Connect and Show Guest. And also, don't forget to subscribe and follow us on all of your favorite channels to catch every gem we uncover. We're everywhere you need us to be, bringing you the best of the unseen and the unheard.